Hello, cookbook friends. This is Katie, and I am here with Carrie.
Hi.
It is March 12th, and we are going to be talking about the finally first week of April new cookbook releases. But we would like to invite you to join us on any social media platform that is possible for you. Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook. We don't have TikTok, unfortunately.
Or Snapchat.
Yeah, and that's okay.
We're not Twitter people.
Yeah. So all of those social media platforms plus here, subscribe at Cookbook Divas. We'd love to see you there. So we're going to start off today by talking about some cocktail cookbooks, obviously, but we have other cookbooks coming up that are international. We have baking cookbooks. We have one American regional cookbook that Carrie's really excited about. We have some specialty cookbooks coming out and healthy eating as always. So I'm going to give it to Carrie to talk about her first cocktail cookbook.
Well, it's actually about wine, and it's only available on Kindle, but that saves you some money. It's called Which Wine When? What to Drink with the Food You Love by Bert Blaze. It comes out on April Fool's Day. It offers brilliant wine matches to the food we eat every day. And I am a wine blogger, so I'm always picking up all these wine books and helping my readers learn what to pair. And you should, of course, drink and eat whatever you want. This does not have any recipes, but it's handy for people that want to throw parties with the best pairings. And now that we're getting vaccines and the weather's getting better, I'm looking forward to throwing more wine parties where I serve people food. The publisher's note says whether you're ordering a curry, taking a bottle to a friend's, going out for dinner, or vegging out on the sofa with a bowl of pasta. I was laughing because I'm picturing myself doing this. Which Wine When will turn even the most down-to-earth meal into a magical combination of what's on your plate and in your glass? It's Which Wine When by Bert Blaze. Katie, what is the first cookbook on your list?
It is the Little Book of Tequila, slammed to perfection. My favorite liquor is tequila. I love it. And I don't know a lot of people that would that want to drink it with me. I'm kind of sad about it. Everybody has horror tequila stories. I don't. I do well with tequila. Anyway, this is a great cookbook because it actually has quite a few recipes in here, and it's got little quotes and trivia in here to kind of keep you entertained. So this is a bit of a fun party book a little bit. Tequila is kind of becoming a bit of a thing. It's trendy. Whiskey's been on the trend train for a while, and I think tequila is slowly inching forward now. I think more people are starting to love tequila. Plus, tequilas and taco, they're the perfect match. This has, I'm trying to see how many actual recipes they have. They don't really have very many photos, but I think that's okay for a cocktail book, honestly. They have some cool recipes for actual cocktails, but they have ways of actually sipping tequila, food pairings that go well with tequila. They even have just small ways of mixing it, or even the best tequilas to take shots with versus sipping. There is a difference. So that is the Little Book of Tequila, slammed to perfection. This is being edited by a company called Orange Hippo, just so you know. What's the next cookbook on your list, Carrie?
It also has something to do with tequila.
Yay!
It's called Mezcal and Tequila Cocktails, Mixed Drinks for the Golden Age of Agave by Robert Simonson. It comes out April 6th in hardcover and Kindle. And the author has written for New York Times, Punch, and he's done a few cocktail cookbooks, most notably 3-ingredient cocktails from 2017, which was nominated but didn't win, but that's okay, for a 2018 James Beard Award. 65 awesome cocktail recipes. Most of them revolve around spring and summer, prime tequila and mezcal time. Yum. But there are a few fall and winter oriented cocktail recipes as well. And I don't know much about mezcal. It seems like it tastes like smoky peat cactus, and that's not my thing. But I'm open-minded enough to try and use more agave spirits. So that is Mezcal and Tequila Cocktails, Mixed Drinks for the Golden Age of Agave by Robert Simonson. Which category are we moving into now?
International, my favorite. So the first cookbook I'd like to talk about is called Sumac, Recipes and Stories from Syria. There are 80 recipes that are inspired by the author's family's recipes and like his travels. So I think that's kind of cool that he goes through and goes. This is by Anas Atassi. I've personally not heard of him before, but I would love to get into this style of cooking, more Middle Eastern cooking, just because it's something. Yeah, I've never really touched it, but it's so beautiful. Oh my God, pomegranates, just in general, are photographed beautifully. I like the flavors. Obviously, they're really unique and interesting. They are also readily available here. Like, you know, we can get pomegranates and figs here and stuff like that. It's actually easy to prepare, which is something that I'm always really apprehensive about when it comes to like foreign, like cooking is something that I've never, you know, and I would say the same with like Cajun cooking. I get scared. So easy preparation. And I really like that he shares personal story, like their personal family stories, kind of all the things that he's experienced. So it's a really fun, cool, homey kind of book. And that is Sumac, Recipes and Stories from Syria. What's next on your list?
Mine is Australia, the Cookbook, which comes out April 7. It's by Ross Joseph Dobson. It's kind of on the higher end of cookbooks. It's $50.
Whoa.
It's a celebration of Australian cuisine, which I know nothing about, and it includes 350 recipes. Probably why it is so expensive. It is gorgeously photographed. I'm just skimming through here the Amazon. Oh my gosh. There's pictures of the landscape, pictures of the food. Stunning. It is a guest chef collection of recipes by a selection of Australia's finest kitchen talents, and an essay that examines the rich culture of Indigenous Australian food, which I know nothing about, and I'm wondering if they ate, kangaroos. Do they eat bushmeat? What were they eating? Are there berries like they're here in North America? What's going on? And of course, in Australia, besides the Indigenous peoples that began there, people were dropped off from all over the world in Australia for various reasons. Yeah. So I wouldn't call it immigrant culture. They were kind of forcibly dropped off, but there's dishes from all over the world that have been adopted and adapted to become Australia's own unique cuisine. That's Australia, the Cookbook by Ross Joseph Dobson. And because I'm so unfamiliar with Australian cooking, so far it's the one I'm most excited about coming out in the first week of April. What's on your list?
The next cookbook on my list, you actually would probably love this. It's Milk Street, Tuesday Nights Mediterranean, 125 simple weeknight recipes from the world's healthiest cuisine by Christopher Kimball. And the Milk Street, so the Milk Street team is a James Beard winning award team. And I really like this cookbook, not only because most of these recipes are actually ready within 45 minutes. I would love that. Yeah. It's not necessarily super health oriented, which I feel like Mediterranean cookbooks tend to be more about Mediterranean diet versus the actual food.
Yes, that's a good point.
So that's something I actually really like. The chapters are divided into really interesting, especially for somebody like you and I, who really want a fast, easy meal. They have a fast chapter, a faster chapter, and fastest chapter.
Do they have a lazy chapter for me?
That's going out to eat, Carrie. So I like it because it's all like fast is like 45-minute dishes, faster is 35, and then fastest is under 25 minutes, which is crazy. So I like that because our days change all the time. So you never know how much time you actually have to put into food. I really appreciate it. It has classics in here like shakshuka, sorry. Oh my goodness.
Shakshuka, my favorite breakfast.
Yeah, I know. They have chorizo. They have like salads. They have all kinds of cool things. Flatbreads, pizza, sandwiches, just a lot of cool stuff in here.
Is it lunchtime yet?
So what was that?
Is it lunchtime yet?
I know, I'm really hungry. So that's Milk Street, Tuesday Nights Mediterranean by Christopher Kimball. What's next?
Next on my list is a French cookbook, à table, Recipes for Cooking and Eating the French Way by Rebecca Pepler. It comes out April 6th. It's 125 accessible recipes so that normal people like us who are not French chefs can create things at home, such as ratatouille, creme brulee, and even regional dishes such as Basque chicken and niçoise for a crowd. The recipes are easy to assemble and find ingredients for. Of course, like every French cookbook, just get a bunch of butter in your kitchen and get ready. But they want to make it accessible and prove that French cooking doesn't have to be elaborate. And fair enough, because when French people go home, if they're making dinner instead of hitting a cafe on the way home, they're home cooking just like we are over here.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that is, what else is in there? Oh, Alsatian cheesecake. Grain shakshuka, lamb tagine. That is à table, Recipes for Cooking and Eating the French Way by Rebecca Pepler. What's next on your list?
To Asia with Love, Everyday Asian Recipes and Stories from the Heart. This is by Hetty McKinnon, who has also created, Hetty McKinnon has done community salad recipes. That's where I recognize this from. And Neighborhood, another cookbook that does another salad thing. So they focus mostly on healthy eating, which is really awesome. And Asian food really, I feel like, translates pretty well with healthy foods personally. So basically, this cookbook is a bit of a modern take on some classic Asian dishes. So rather than, traditional yakisoba, for instance, or chow mein, they've modernized it for us to enjoy and just upgrade the flavor. A lot of these are vegetarian and vegan oriented dishes. So, yay. Yay! One thing I was actually surprised about, and this is probably the stories from the heart aspect of this cookbook, is that there's a range of personal essays about culture and immigration and identity all throughout this cookbook. So it's really a fascinating cookbook with really awesome recipes and really touching stories. So if you're into that kind of thing, I highly recommend checking out To Asia with Love, Everyday Asian Recipes and Stories from the Heart by Hetty McKinnon. What's next on your list?
It's a similar theme. It's not a cookbook, though. It's called What We Hunger For, Refugee and Immigrant Stories About Food and Family. This paperback comes out on April 1st by Sun Young Shin as the editor, and it is a collection of essays. All of the writers come from immigrant or refugee families. Not any recipes, because it's not a cookbook, but here at Cookbook Divas, we also like food history books and food essays. And they adapt to different growing seasons and regional selections available at corner stores and farmers markets. Generations communicate through the language of food. It's just a bunch of essays, and I'm super interested in it. It's 15 upper Midwestern writers from refugee and immigrant families write about their complicated, poignant, funny, difficult, joyful, and ongoing relationships to food, cooking, and eating. And I can't imagine how difficult it would be to move from somewhere else in the world to the middle of the Midwest of the U.S., where everything used to be pretty homogenous and white and meat and potatoes, and where would you even go to the store to get the type of foods you want to make at home? I'm fascinated. Yeah. That's what we hunger for. Now we're going to move into the baking book section. What's the first baking book on your list, Katie?
Well, it is the Flour Craft Bakery and Cafe Cookbook, Inspired Gluten-Free Recipes for Breakfast, Lunch, Tea, and Celebrations by Heather Hardcastle.
Ooh, let's have tea today.
It sounds really nice. And if we could have little treats to go with it, like these ones, like this savory scone, the roasted pears and blue cheese and toasted walnuts. Oh, so good. Or lemon square or lemon bars. I love lemon bars. So this cookbook is cool because obviously being gluten-free, I love it. It's gluten-free. I love it because rather than just kind of telling you use gluten-free flour, they actually specifically break down what kinds of flour for each dish. So for instance, like the sourdough waffles, she talks about, we use like the buttermilk, but here's white rice flour. Here's how much we use: the sorghum flour, brown sugar, xanthine gum, baking soda. So rather than just so for more detailed bakers that want to kind of play around with, sometimes flour blends aren't the best, and sometimes they're, if it has xanthine gum or it doesn't have it, like it can really affect your baking. So if you're really detail oriented and want to make things very to the T, this is a really awesome cookbook for that. There are 75 recipes that you're totally going to love. Like, I'm looking through these photos and I'm like, my mouth is watering. I'm having a problem. I'm trying not to drool on myself. I'm sorry. But I definitely recommend this. And it definitely upgrades a lot of traditional stuff, like a chocolate almond tort, and it gluten-free. So that is the Flour Craft Bakery and Cafe Cookbook, inspired gluten-free recipes for breakfast, lunch, tea, and celebrations by Heather Hardcastle. What's next on your list?
This is one of the most unusual baking books I've ever seen. It's Baking with Beans. Make breads, pizzas, pies, and cakes with gut-healthy legumes. And I cook with a lot of beans as a lifelong vegetarian. So this book by Lena Wallentinson and Ellen Hedstrom and Annette Cantagallo, those are two translators. This is fascinating. I'm not sure if they mean drying the beans and making bean flour or just dumping cooked beans into a bowl and stirring. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm fascinated. It's the intersection between gut health and baking. Beans are great vegan and vegetarian substitutes, and they let you add healthy fibers to your dessert. I would be a little concerned about adding even more calories to my dessert, but let's check out what some of the recipes are. They could use peas, lentils, chickpeas, and more. And there's 33 gluten-free options as well. You can make walnut bread with green lentils, focaccia with rosemary and olives, braided bread with pistachio pesto, carrot rolls with pumpkin seeds, saffron cake with figs, coconut lime muffins, kidney bean brownies, I'm not so sure about that, and black bean chocolate chili cookies. I guess it would kill me to try them. That is Baking with Beans, Make Breads, Pizzas, Pies, and Cakes with Gut-Healthy Legumes by Lena Wallentinson, April 6th. What's next on your list?
We're getting into the one American regional book that I think you're looking forward to. It is Farmhouse Weekends, Menus for Relaxing Country Meals All Year Round by Melissa Behan. So this is real. So I personally would love to get into the habit of making foods according to season.
Yeah.
So this cookbook actually divides, because it's farmhouse cooking, divides everything up into seasons. So you've got spring cooking, summer, fall, winter. There's a resources section as well. So Melissa Behan actually started a blog called Lulu the Baker in 2008. And a lot of her recipes are actually put into this cookbook, and she's been featured in Rachel Ray, Better Home and Garden, and a few other places. So she kind of knows what she's talking about as far as like farm to table, cooking. And this is, I believe, she did another cookbook called Scandinavian Gatherings as well.
Ooh.
So but this is a really cool, more, I would probably geared for American cooking. Some of the recipes include, I really want to make this, a lemon honey tea cake with buttermilk glaze.
Ooh.
Man. There's spinach, avocado, and snap pea salad with the raspberry shallot vinaigrette. So there's a lot of really interesting recipes. There's 65 recipes in this cookbook.
Did you hear me clicking? I just bought it.
Did you? It's really pretty. I like it's not too rustic. Like, the pictures are really bright. I know that sometimes rustic photos can be like, rustic cookbooks can be really dark, but the photos are like really bright, and I want to just dive into this book and make everything in here. It's really cool. So that is Farmhouse Weekends, Menus for Relaxing Country Meals All Year Round by Melissa Bahan. So we're going into specialty cookbooks now. And what's your first specialty cookbook?
This is something I'm not personally excited about, but I'm going to read it to the rest of you in case you are. It's The Art of Cooking with Cannabis, CBD and THC infused recipes from across America by Tracy Medeiros, and it comes out April 6th. I'm not personally a pot person. It's legal here in Washington. I don't like the taste or the way it makes me feel. But for those of us that do, this is a cannabis cookbook, and we're going to see more and more of those coming out. This one features 125 recipes featuring CBD, hemp, and THC from organic farmers, which is cool, award-winning chefs, artisans, and food producers across the country. Let's take a look at some of the recipes. Avocado mash with nori and cucumber, CBD-infused vegan gluten-free miso broth. Okay, I would probably drink that, I admit it. THC and CBD-infused smoked cheddar with green chili stone ground grits. Okay, that sounds good.
Oh.
Something called schmack and cheese. I'm not sure what's going on there. A vegan no-bake cashew cheesecake that gets you high. Chicken kale meatballs with cherry tomato and pesto sauces. So that's The Art of Cooking with Cannabis, CBD, and THC-infused recipes from across America by Tracy Medeiros. What's next for you?
I have Cooking on the Big Green Egg. Everything you need to know from setting up to cooking techniques with 70 recipes. I remember passing one of these things at Home Depot one time, and I was just so confused when I saw it because it is just a giant green egg. So even when I ran into this cookbook, I was like, the big green egg, like, do you mean a green, I just couldn't, my brain couldn't I couldn't wrap my head around it for a second. So this is an actual cookbook for the appliance, the green egg, smoky barbecue appliance. And I really, obviously, people love the big green egg. I actually would love to get one myself because it's so compact and there's a lot of things you can do with it.
I was thinking of getting one for my vacation house because we got a giant barbecue because anybody that ever stays here is going to, it's summertime, they'll be barbecuing. But I thought I should get a big green egg in case the vegetarians want to just take it over, and that way no meat has ever been cooked on it. Oh. And then it's a little easier to haul out of my garage. What if I had a guest staying here by themselves and they don't want to push a 75-pound gigantic barbecue out for one person? Yeah. So they can have a little green egg. So I'm going to probably pick up this cookbook too.
Yeah, and this cookbook's cool because, I forgot to mention the author, James Wetler. He's actually a James Beard. He's won a James Beard Award for the goat. I've never heard of the goat before. There's so many cookbooks out there. But I like this cookbook because it's divided into baking, slow cooking, grilling, etc. Like baking.
You can bake on a green egg? What?
Yes.
Is it because you can shut the lid and just trap the heat in, or?
Yes, it's crazy. Like paratha is a recipe in here. I don't know how to say that properly. It's like a flatbread. This is a really versatile cookbook with lots of really interesting, when you see barbecue cookbooks, it's usually meat oriented, but there's a lot of interesting recipes in here that don't have anything to do with meat. So I would highly check out this cookbook if you have a big green egg or if you intend on getting one. It is called Cooking on the Big Green Egg by James Wetler. What is next for you, Carrie?
It's another book that's not cookbook. It's a reprint of Cooking Alone from 1954 by Kathleen Leriche. It comes out April 6th. It's a delicious miniature compendium of tales inspired by a cast of eccentric solitary characters. It's just really cute. There's stories from the old lady who feeds her menagerie of pets, the bachelor who learns to stockpile food, the lonely mother 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. who becomes a toast connoisseur, the career woman who buys a chicken as a treat. It's just a bunch of clever little amusing anecdote stories. It's not actually a cookbook, but for those of you that find that intriguing, I thought I'd mention that they've reprinted it. Cooking Alone by Kathleen Leriche. What is the next actual cookbook on your list?
It is called Cleaning and Preparing Game Fish, Step-by-Step Instructions from Water to Table by Monty Birch. So I actually have a few, especially since before I was doing this, I was an electrician. So I have a lot of friends from there that love, hunting and fishing and camping. And we actually, the last time we went camping together, he caught a bunch of catfish and we grilled it on the grill. And I was like kind of amazed with how he was able to clean and prep everything. It was, it's kind of crazy.
Gross and intimidating.
Sorry, Carrie.
No, that's fine. Even I know meat eaters that are like, I can't clean the fish. You have to do it.
Yeah. But I really like this because it is very specific. And I think a lot of people that do go fishing would love to actually learn how to do it. It's not easy to break down a fish, as we know. So learning how to actually do that and having like recipes at your fingertips whenever, if you go camping, you can take this with you and go fish and then camp and bring it home and, learn how to prep something or even come home and make something there after catching fish. It has 50 recipes. Everything's illustrated and everything has step-by-step photos and draw lines, which is really important and cool for all of the, for basically dissecting a fish. So that is Cleaning and Preparing Game Fish, Step-by-Step Instructions from Water to Table by Monty Birch. What's next on your list?
I have just 3 cookbooks left to talk about, but I wanted to take a quick moment to let you know about our book clubs and classes that we do here at Cookbook Divas. We host them on our Facebook because Instagram doesn't have a way to have groups and communication with people you don't know, etc. Yeah. So we host it on Facebook, and we're currently running Betty Crocker 101, which we've continued because I flaked out in February and had a crazy life. We are also doing Little House Cooking Club, and we are also doing Julia Child 101, free online classes and groups, and we all get together and go through cookbooks and learn about the chefs, and it's fun, it's free, it's meant to take up half an hour or an hour an evening, if that, you get out of the class what you put into it. And we're also doing a book club in April. Well, we will read The Kitchen Front, which is about World War II homemakers, but it's a novel, but it does include recipes. So brave souls that have more time than I do, hopefully will be cooking the recipes and sharing pictures and talking about their experience making it. So to find info on our book clubs and online classes, go to our website at cookbookdivas.com and pull down the online classes and book club section of the website at the very top. Thank you for your patience with my little advertisement for the fun stuff we're doing. My next book is The Book of Difficult Fruit, Arguments for the Tart, Tender, and Unruly with Recipes by Kate Lebo. Comes out April 6th. I really hope she talks about nectarines because I have no idea what to do with those. Now, it includes black and white illustrations, which are not my favorite, and that's why I gave up subscribing to Cooks Illustrated because I just didn't like the illustrations. But 26 fruits are listed in this adorable, almost poetic lyrical book. And there's recipes that include them and some descriptions and historical references as well. These difficult fruits serve as the central ingredients of 26 essays and recipes that range from deeply personal to botanical, from culinary to medical, humorous to theosophical. It's a little bit above my pay grade. I'm not really a poetry person, but I'm a little curious if they're talking about fruits I've never heard of, like aronia. and I've never worked with durian. M is for medlar, which I've never heard of.
Whoa.
And Q is for quince, which I am familiar with but never use in my kitchen. So that's The Book of Difficult Fruit by Kate Lebo. What's next on your list?
It's always freezer season. How to Freeze Like a Chef with 100 Make-Ahead Recipes by Ashley Christensen. So she's won a James Beard Award for Best Chef Southeast in 2014. And in 2017, she received an Eater's Best Chef in the Nation Award. So she's pretty well known, obviously. So I like this because, as you and I know and everybody knows, we're always so busy, and sometimes we only have like 1 or 2 days where, you know, a really elaborate dish we can actually make time for. So I like
that on Sundays. That's my big cooking and laundry day.
Exactly. So, and it usually is like it's Sunday for me too. So being able to learn how to make some really cool recipes and preserve or freeze them and make ahead is super important for a lot of people because we're all just so busy. So that's this cookbook definitely appeals to us, people that are really busy and only have a few days and can only do everything in one go and freeze. So, and the recipes it's actually kind of a fun cookbook. For some reason, I always think like freezer stuff is, I don't know what my problem is, but the pictures look really beautiful. It looks really fun. And some of the recipes are like roasted jalapeno poppers.
Oh, fun.
So I would love to freeze those and just pull them out for a party, you know.
That's the only way to do it, because the day of the party, you're too busy shopping for the last minute fresh foods like a baguette. You're vacuuming, you're locking your pet in the other room, you're cleaning the bathroom. You don't have time to actually make jalapeno poppers from scratch.
Right, exactly. So they've got like carnita tacos. So I'm assuming probably freezing the meat and being able to heat it up later, which I think is something important for a lot of people. I didn't realize that I was freezing like vegetables incorrectly, which actually can be dangerous. So learning how to do everything properly and healthy and also for your time is super important.
Label my stuff because there's a random chili in my freezer that I have no idea if it's from last August, which is fine, or 2 Februarys ago. Oh
no. Well, with hopefully It's Always Freezer Season by Ashley Christensen, we can learn how to freeze things properly and label and do all the things we need to do. So
I just have to share an anecdote. I became angry the other day while listening to a wonderful cooking related podcast, and the otherwise delightful, who I shall not name, chef author was bragging about how she cooks at home every day and she takes the time to linger, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking, well, isn't that nice for you? The rest of us are just, excuse me. You work?
Oh my God. Well, she does. She's a chef.
Well, I don't think she's currently employed. Who knows?
Oh God. So we're moving on to healthy eating. Hooray. Yes. Everybody's favorite.
I'll move on to a nicer attitude. Okay. A quick little mention of this small cookbook, How to Cook Healthier, an Easy Cookbook for Balanced Eating by Anjali Whittles. Comes out April 6th. Discover how to cook delicious, nourishing meals with practical guidance and easy recipes. Sounds like something that should have come out in January. Mm-hmm. But she offers tips for grocery shopping. The recipes have labels and tips and pointers that help you make each recipe vegan or gluten-free if you need to. And she teaches you how to set yourself up for success with my favorite thing, step-by-step tutorials. Yay! Mm-hmm. And she wants you to build foundational skills like cooking with water, pan cooking, oven cooking, and grilling. So definitely a beginner cookbook, How to Cook Healthier, an Easy Cookbook for Balanced Eating by Anjali Whittles. And Katie, what's next on your list?
I believe I have 2 cookbooks left. So my next cookbook is Root and Nourish, an herbal cookbook for women's wellness by Abby Rodriguez and Jennifer Curdila. So this is a cool cookbook because it's mostly plant-based and gluten-free. I say that because I'm biased. It's cool. It has 100 recipes that are designed around the most common health concerns for women. So, but we are not doctors here. So this is not like us telling you, please eat this or buy this cookbook to better yourself. But Abby Rodriguez is a certified holistic nutritionist, herbalist, and food content writer. But again, ask your doctor first. So this has some really cool recipes for potentially medicinal foods. It also educates us how to use more herbs in our cooking, which was actually mostly my draw to it, because I actually grow herbs in my yard and then I forget about them. I hate that.
I do the same thing, but I walk by them and I water and weed them and I'm like, that's nice. And then I start cooking and I forget to go out and snip them. And they're literally 8 feet from my kitchen door.
Right. And then sometimes it calls for an herb and then I'll go buy it at the store, but it's right in my backyard. I just forget about it. It's such a pain. But I like that they kind of go into that and, basically to enhance all of those, because sometimes healthy cooking can be, not the most exciting thing to eat, but actually utilizing all the herbs and spices that we actually have to enhance our cooking. I really like that. And I do like, something female oriented, but again, this is just hopefully it helps, but it might not necessarily help. That is Root and Nourish, an herbal cookbook for women's wellness by Abby Rodriguez and Jennifer Cardila. Sorry. Moving on. What's your last cookbook, Carrie?
My last cookbook I wanted you guys to know about that's coming up is Earthy Vegan Eats, 60 Delicious Gluten-Free Plant-Based Recipes by Maria Gurrieva. It comes out April 6th. It's simple, healthy vegan meals without sacrificing time or taste. And I like how she has the book divided into breakfast in bed, comfort food, nibbles, sweet tooth, vegan basics with a twist. Who doesn't like breakfast in bed? Her recipe has been featured on the Feed and in Thrive magazine, and she has a website at earthofmaria.com. That's Earthy Vegan Eats, 60 Delicious Gluten-Free Plant-Based Recipes by Maria Gurrieva.
My last cookbook is called Eat With Us, Mindful Recipes to Make Every Meal an Experience by Philip Lago and Mystique Matai. This is a very stunning and elegant cookbook, but the recipes are very simple and intentionally so. They have one thing I really enjoy about this is that they have some of these recipes have like mini recipes. So for instance, Mexican street corn. There's a whole section on Mexican street corn, but there's 3 mini recipes for Mexican street corn, which I really like. Many of these are broken down into just little sections. Like even they have a cheese and charcuterie. I should know how to say this. I'm so sorry. Board. I think you know how to say that, Carrie.
Yes, charcuterie. You did it.
I did. Okay. Anyway, so they've divided it up so almost like anatomically so that you can actually see what each thing is on the board. It's a cool cookbook, but if I saw the cover of this, I would not necessarily approach it because I would think, oh, this is probably too fancy for me, but it's not. It's quite like it's very elegant and beautiful, but all the recipes are very approachable, really easy. It's just a really clean, modern look for a cookbook, stylish, super cool. And that is Eat With Us, Mindful Recipes to Make Every Meal an Experience by Philip Lago and Mystique Matai. And I think that's it for today, for the first week of April. We did it. Yay.
And you made it through if you're still listening. Thank you for listening. You can find our podcast episodes uploaded on Fridays, and we occasionally put out some mini-sodes on Tuesdays. And then if there's a flurry or tsunami of interesting cookbooks coming out, we'll occasionally do a mini-sode on Sundays when I'm doing laundry and cooking. Thanks for listening to the Cookbook Divas podcast, and we'll talk to you next week.